Hello, just finished work and walking home. I'll carry on talking about what I was talking about yesterday. The intellectual playground. I didn't bring that term into the video, but that is what I was describing. That there is no absolute truth. There isn't this fixed point that you can get to, and then when you're there, it's just like, don't have to do anything. I mean, there is that fixed point, and you're always there. You don't have to do anything. But it's strange, right? I mean, what I'm also describing there is how the kingdom of heaven, or what the Bible calls the kingdom of heaven, includes the intellectual realm. You know, it says, unless you become as a small child, you shall in no wise enter the kingdom of heaven. And what do children do? They play, right? I mean, if you were to go to a child playing with Play-Doh, and you ask him, what are you doing, what you're doing for? Why are you fiddling around with that muddy stuff? I don't know, I'm just fucking doing it. Just like, jog on mate, leave me to it. Or they might make up a little kind of thing. Oh, I want to make a nice little castle, and then I can put a princess inside there. And they're constantly engaged in this game where they're making a kind of point just to keep the game going on. You know, they kind of think of an idea to build a castle because they just want to play with the Play-Doh. In a lot of the realms of play that we have access to, like say the sexual arena of play, that there are many different flavours, many different kinds of ways of doing sex, and there isn't really many people, especially nowadays, saying, oh, why aren't you just doing sadism? That's all you should do. Sadism is the absolute truth, and that's the only form of sex you should engage in. No, they're just out doing all sorts, aren't they? It's the same with like physical activities and stuff. Like people will kind of argue over which sport is better, but really there's a kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of thing behind that. With the intellectual world, there are so many interpretive lenses that you can put on. There are so many different interpretive games and word games you can play, and it's like, why just stick at one and not explore the others? Why do you want the game to stop? I mean, one of the critiques I often came across from other people when I would talk about philosophy, like, what's the point of that? What's the point in it? And you do understand, right, that eventually points bottom out at a place. It's like you're not there associating with your family, right, and enjoying your children doing what they're doing, and at the back of your mind there isn't this idea going, what's the point to this, right? What am I doing this for? No, you're just enjoying your daughter gallivanting around in the garden, being a little girl. That's what you're doing. And they're the most significant and important parts of your life. And it's like when people are passionate about philosophy, passionate about maths or whatever. I'm not really that passionate about maths. I don't really know much about maths. But when you're passionate about a thing, the points become a kind of, they're just an excuse that you use to do the thing. The reason why a lot of people are stuck in this way of thinking about intellectual activity is because a lot of people don't really enjoy it, and that's fair enough, mate. You play your game, I'll play my game, and if your game's the same as my game, we might play it together. That's okay, we can do that. But these people running around, they don't want to play the intellectual game, which is fair enough, but they want to have opinions. They want to lay claim to some form of authority for what they say. And in order to have a developed opinion that's going to stand attacks and stuff like that, and have any kind of real value or real depth to it, you're going to have to do the legwork. And so there are lots of these people around who want to have opinions, but they don't want to do the legwork. Fair enough, mate, you can have your opinions. But instead of just openly admitting this, instead of just coming out and go, this is what I think, and by the way, it's based on a bullshit, I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, they try and divert from that realization. They try and divert themselves and the other from that realization, and they try and make out to be serious what is not serious. And they'll come up with things like, oh, how do you know that what you know is the truth? Or how do you know that what you read is the truth, and stuff like that? Well, mate, you don't get it, do you? The reason why I'm reading these books, it isn't because I'm looking for the truth. That's just a little excuse I told myself before. But really, it's just, I love using this login thing and following rabbit holes down where they go. And so the people that don't like playing that game but want to have opinions are often putting down that thing. I mean, it's not rational, because if you follow through what they say to its logical conclusions, they're just they're shooting the ground from underneath your feet and their feet. But this intellectual playground, it's like you don't have to. The fact that it doesn't stop dead, that there is no truth at the end of the path, means that it's a perfect little game. Goodbye.